We meet again, Kubo-san. For those of you who have been with the channel for a while, you'll remember that I did a red hot go for the Kubo-san manga, and ultimately wasn't impressed with it. But I made a promise going into this video that I was going to approach the anime with an open mind. After all, the Takagi-san showrunners took a half-decent manga and elevated it. Why couldn't these guys do the same? And so I began watching Kubo-san Doesn't Let Me Be Invisible with enough caution not to get overhyped, but enough hope to not be cynical. And there was a lot to like about Kubo-san. The wish fulfillment, for instance, is very wholesome. It isn't hard to see the metaphor in a student who's so socially plain that people often can't see him. I can imagine someone who does feel that invisible would find comfort in the idea of being socially adopted by a popular classmate who will change their life for the better. It's at least a more healthy wish than, I wish I had a girl come over and act like a doting mother, or I wish I lived with a girl who was so emotionally damaged that she'd offer to sleep with me despite not wanting to. Was it a bit much to go from slightly pathetic to downright unsettling? I think that might have been a bit much. I like that the protagonist, Shiraishi, is able to act like an actual teenager. Seeing him be tempted by a nudie mag was far more endearing than anything that happened in Horimiya, and the moment when the slightest bit of physical intimacy short-circuited his brain brought back some very embarrassing memories from my own teenage years. I also love the character detail that he reads his favourite manga over and over again. This detail shows us in a rather subtle way that Shiraishi is someone with a very insulated comfort zone, and provides a little context for the moments when Kubo will push him to do more. I can also respect that the show has no introductory period. Unlike other stories like Toradora or Tsukigakure, which take time to introduce the characters and create new dynamics, Kubo-san starts right in the midst of the status quo. I should point out though that I can accept diving into the meat of the story for shows like Takagi-san and Love is War, because the meat of those stories is entertaining from the word go, and not, say, mind-numbingly boring. I swear I wanted to like this show. I really did. I even gave you 2 whole paragraphs of uninterrupted and genuine praise, but Kubo-san is just not very good. First, a minor point of criticism. Kubo is straight up nasty to Shiraishi in episode 1. In the first few scenes, she blackmails him, refuses to explain why she is upset with him, and then puts him in a position where she knows that he will be uncomfortable as punishment. You may want to point out that these actions aren't all that different from the kind of things Takagi does to Nishikata, but there's a very important distinction here. The first we see of Nishikata, he is on the offensive, and even when he's on the back foot, he's still participating in the rivalry that creates these situations. Shiraishi is not a participant in these moments the same way that Nishikata is. That's not to say that Shiraishi laments these interactions. I get the sense that he's rather indifferent about them for the most part. But that brings us to our second issue. 3 episodes in, we have a main character who finds conflict in that Kubo regularly flusters him and that he is invisible to the society around him, but he isn't all that motivated to change his circumstances. As I alluded to before, Shiraishi has a social affliction wherein he is so plain looking and quiet that people often can't see him. His attitude towards this affliction is, oh well, for the most part. He occasionally laments some of the inconveniences that come with not being seen, but he never takes any action to make real change. Let's look outside of Kubo-san again for an example of this kind of characterization done right. Ryuji from Toradora is not an invisible character, but he is someone who suffers from a social affliction. Ryuji's intimidating appearance causes people to think that he's dangerous and should be avoided. The difference between Ryuji and Shiraishi is that Ryuji laments this social condition and actively tries to fight it. The first we see of Ryuji, he is trying to soften his appearance, and within the first 3 episodes we see him make progress towards bettering his image. What's ultimately missing from Shiraishi is a sense that he dislikes being unseen, that he wishes that things were different, or that he would be willing to lift a finger to do something about it. There are some other minor points, like the writing can be a little contrived and lazy here and there, and the anime adaptation is clearly trying to do with Seta what the manga did. i.e. cram him full of so many quote-unquote cute quirks and design choices that it just comes off as obnoxious more than anything else. But none of my complaints holds a candle to the worst thing this show has going for it, and that is the fact that it is mind-numbingly dull. Every episode's worth of live notes from my viewing mentions how bored I am watching this show. Episode 2 in particular got so bad that I checked to see how much longer the episode had. I didn't even do that with Bunny Girl Senpai. I mentioned in my Red Hot Go for The Angel Next Door that I've seen so many romance anime by this point that something inoffensive or passable just won't do it for me anymore. I need a reason to be invested in a show, some conflict, progression, a set of characters I care about. Kubo-san has none of this. The conflict is moot by the fact that the protagonist doesn't care. The progression is too slow and inconsequential to get invested in, and the characters aren't fun or likable enough to carry the show on their own. While Kubo-san is inoffensive at least, and has a few moments that make it more grounded than your typical slice of life, it's ultimately lacking any elements that can hold my interest. From ice cold to red hot, I give Kubo-san Doesn't Let Me Be Invisible a rating of ice cold. I will not be continuing this show. I'd like to thank my patrons, Orion Tran, Lars Espen, Data52, Gemen5, Pixcalibur, Tyler Bennett, Tenka, Jeremy Pashik, Fireclaw, Chris, Luke Stewart, Swiss Cage, Gerald, John, and the Mini Turtle. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.